and today I would like to welcome you to a presentation of a new feature of the Automatiko. It comes with 0.6 release, and that is about to be released in a few weeks. And so the new feature is around the asynchronous execution of the workflow instance operation. So that means that you can asynchronously call a REST endpoint that will return immediately response and give you the identifier of the instance and continue the execution of the actual business logic in the background. So with that, I want to give you a very simple example. So it's a process that is with a branching point where we have the, based on the information on what is the username given, we either go into updating message or we stop in the user task, and that is mainly to illustrate that you can both interact asynchronously to start the instance or interact with the wait states of the workflow instance already existing. So the workflow definition is untouched without any additional changes, any additional hints for the execution. But if we look at the execution here, we simply can see, all right, let's just remove the remote def mode, we just run in the def mode. So the service will start and we have the complete execution of it available, so we can interact with the instances. So the service allows you to simply interact with it either synchronously or asynchronously, and this is up to the client that invokes the service to decide which parts of it you would like to do. So the service is up and running right now, so we simply go here, just go to localhost, and if we go to localhost, so that's the QN UI. So here we have our script task. So if we look at this one, we can simply try it out here, but the values are not really important. So if you run it, it returns us immediately the complete payload that the process has been executed. We can see here the Automatiko was invoked, but that's not the, that's the synchronous way. So as you can see, it returns 200 response code. But if we just go here, just create a new tab and we just grab a request very easily, for instance, do it like that. So what it does, especially that this part, this header, says that if we want to execute this process in an asynchronous way, that means that we want to have immediately response back with the identifier, and yes, it will post the inputs as well, so we don't have much of a difference when you look at the payload, but we want to have it executed in the background. So if we just run this, we get the identifier, we hit the message as well. But if we just, sorry, we just do, as you can see, the response is that we got 202, and yes, execution takes place as well here, but you can see already that it actually runs in the background. So instead of running in the thread that received the request, we will run it in the background. So that allows us to simply get hold of the information that was sent out there. But then we can easily look at the options that, yes, we have asynchronous execution, which is good. We want to send the request and wait for the reply, so we receive the identifier immediately upon the accepting of the request, and then we want to take advantage of it, and we can pull, for instance, when it's a long running operation, so we can pull for the status of the instance, but at the same time we can have it either even more improved, that we can simply run this run the same service, and we want to instruct it in this particular case that we want to upload it to an endpoint. So here we have on our pipe dream endpoint. Let me just grab the one that is valid for me here. So if we look back here, we have the endpoint here, so just copy this one, paste it here. So if as soon as the process is over, it will post the complete data model of the workflow instance, with the information about what is the status of it. So if we execute that, we got it here, so it was executed again in the background. But if we look back here, we got the request. So we can see here that we receive a payload with the body, as you can see. Message is hello John, so it actually executed the process, it set the message properly, and then we have a bunch of headers. So first, that is important to notice, is this one, x80k status, that states the status of the instance. In this case, it was completed. So even if you would like to poll for the information, the instance is already gone because it completed, so it's not stays there. And then authorization as well, because you can configure your authorization for the callbacks as well. That is configurable inside your application config file. As you can see here, we configure the Automatiko callbacks authentication set to basic with the username and password. There are multiple ways of defining that, and you can find this inside the documentation that is about to be published together with the 06 release. So here you will find all the information about the asynchronous execution, async modes, callbacks, and then the authorization, authentication for it. So there are multiple types supported. So we have none, that does not set anything. We have the basic, we have the auth2, custom, and on behalf of is kind of taking the authorization information from the request that is being sent to initiate the operation. Plus we have all the properties that you need to set up depending on which type of the authentication type you want to use. So with that, we can as well look at the task. So if we start the task start the workflow in the async mode, let's say that we just go for someone else, let's say Mary, we do that. And if we just look at the tasks for this instance, so we can use the call command, and we have the endpoint. Here we have the ID of the instance, and we want to see tasks of it, but we want to see as user John, because that's the task assigned to that user. So we get the information here. So we have the complete link to the, we even have the link to the form as well, but we want to use the APIs here. So let's grab a command that allows us to simply take advantage of the reference ID here. We just copy it here and we paste here, and we as well need to set that's the John who is completing the task, and as simple as that, we simply post it there. So now if we look at the task, there are no instances anymore because we completed the task, and that led to completing the complete instance as well. So here we can find that we have an instance properly set here, and as you can see, we didn't get the callback and for the completion of the task, and the reason is that we used the wrong endpoint. So it simply said that it was not capable of sending. As you can see here, it was failing on that, it was not found in the instance, but we simply completed the task, and here you have the information that when we started for Mary, we have the information that it was active with all the information given here. So we can pretty much quickly repeat the same steps to make sure that everything works as expected when we do. So it's a new one. As you can see here, we have the instance ID as 0183, and in active state 0183, so it's exactly the same thing. We can use the get command for tasks, and we just simply use that one to make sure that everything is in place. And you can see here we have it there as well. So we use the completion of the instance. Sorry, here that's the task. So we just make sure that we use the proper endpoint, that we post back the callback. Very quickly remove this one, and we just put the right one. and then we need to change the IDs of those, so we completely replace the entire reference. Yes, very quickly remove this one and copy it from the reply we got when we queried for tasks. Very quickly here, so this is our reference, and like that. That's it. If we go here, we have this as well, and as you can see, it's 0183 with the information same, and we have the status completed. So as you can see, it posts back. So it kind of works in a webhook manner that you can easily instruct it to perform the work for you. So with that, I want to conclude this short introduction to the async execution for Automatiko endpoints, and stay tuned for the coming features. Thank you very much for listening.